Hello and welcome. I'm your Geek Eric, and today I'm going to talk about my tower defense game, Stop the Slimes. Now, this is actually a scoped down version of the FPS tower defense game that I was working on in the last devlog. And I'm not going to talk about everything I've done because haven't shown anything in a few months. So I'm gonna show what I did in about 2 months in this video, and then next week I'll get you caught the rest of the way. But first, before I get into it, let me explain where I've been and what's kept me from uploading. So I think a couple of weeks after my last video went up in late February, the southern part of the US had a real bad snowstorm, at least compared to what we normally would get, which would be like a little bit of sleet. So not many people down here have snow chains, and the counties and the states down here aren't putting salt out. Some of them do on the main interstates between the large cities, but your average road isn't going to get salted. And again, the people around here don't have snow chains to deal with that kind of road condition. So the apartment that I was staying in, the water line busted. And it actually happened in several different of the apartment buildings. But on mine, the bottom floor, where the living room, it's kind of like living room, kitchen on the bottom, and then above it is the bedroom and the office. The bottom floor flooded, and not only did it flood, but because the road conditions and again people not having chains, maintenance couldn't get there to patch the line and shut the water off. They told me where the valve was to shut it off, but the valve was actually broken. And so you could turn it all you wanted and it wouldn't shut it off. So they actually had to cut the pipe while water was running out and put a new piece in. Anyway, I had to move out of the apartment. And I moved, my wife and I moved back in with my parents for about the last 2.5, 3 months, whatever that comes out to be. Now we have our own place again. We're loving it. We actually have another bedroom, which works great because we both work remotely for our 9-to-5 jobs. So we have our own office now, and we're loving it. But what happened with that, and with the previous non-scope down version of this project, is that was just too much for me to do by kind of my deadline that I'd set, which was I wanted like a full vertical slice of the game that was polished by the fall. And then at that point, I would decide whether to keep working on that or go to a new project. If I wanted to keep working on it, I would try to polish it for like a Steam release. If not, I would just package it up and release it on itch. So let me open up Godot and show you the progress that I made up until about, I think a month ago is where this cutoff was. Again, I cut the FPS part out of the game. And right now I'm just using placeholder Kenny assets. So the graphics aren't anywhere close to where I'm seeing it in my head, but it's a good baseline. So now that I have Godot open, let me walk you through kind of the project structure. So I made the choice, since I didn't think I would have that much art assets loaded into this game, that instead of having different scenes I'm loading in and out of, I would have all the different UI areas as different states and a state machine controlling it. There will be the game loop state, which will load in different maps depending on which kind of area you've selected to play in. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to call that yet, whether that's different zones or I'll probably just go with maps. But it will load the map underneath it. So I can go ahead and pull that up. This is kind of the base map. We spawn in slimes here at the top. They'll hop along. These red cubes are showing where they're going to be hopping from. And then we could place a tower on the grid. And that tower, it will grab every one of these road tiles that it's directly next to. And it will add this kind of debugging cube for now. And it starts off green, but as it throws spikes, not spikes yet, but as it throws spikes onto the tile, it will turn from green to red. And I'll show you a little snippet of the code. So the game manager inherits from the state machine class. Let me basically there's a couple of functions in the state. There is an on update, there's an update. Okay, well, sorry, the on update fires off a signal, and there's also on start and on exit. And in the editor or in code, you can connect to the signals if you want, like every time you leave the main menu to, in this case, every time you leave the main menu, I want to scroll through and hide all the UI. And also, whenever you call a new state to go to, you could pass it in a dictionary and kind of give it some custom things. So whenever you go into the game loop, not all this is set up yet, you'll be able to either play an infinite mode where the rounds just get bigger and bigger until you lose. There'll be a campaign mode at some point where there'll just be like 100 levels and there'll be different maps that are being used, and I'll be able to mix and match. I could like use 7 maps over and over again, but change what kind of slimes are being spawned, how many waves, also changing the amount of health that I'm giving you at the start and how much starting cash you get to place down the towers. I can play with those things to kind of tune the difficulty of the campaign. So that's enough of the code for now. Let me just go ahead and launch the game and let you guys see where it's at. And again, this is about 3 to 4 weeks ago in development. And the reason why this loading screen's here, it doesn't really have a purpose as of this point, as this commit to the project, but later on I'll add player data where I'm loading how far you've got, how many gems you have in the game, things you've unlocked, those kind of things. I'll be loading from disk, so I need to have this little loading area. But for now, you just hit finish loading. Again, very simple. This is kind of more to test the state machine logic and how it's working more than setting up UI. So there's a start next round button. We could go ahead and place down a tower. You could see place down those green cubes, and now it's lighting them up red. I haven't fixed this yet, but I need to have it where whenever a new round starts, it wipes all the spikes that have been placed, and also it's not placing new ones in between rounds. But That is a bug that I have put in Jira, and I'll get that fixed up. Maybe before the next video, we'll see. So currently you can kind of just place the towers anywhere there's ground and not road tiles. You're also not limited in how many you can place. I'm currently working on having it, cost maybe 100 gems or 100 currency every time you place one. Then you can't place them when you don't have any currency. It's also letting you place towers like this one where they're not effective, and that's kind of a bad player experience. So what I'm thinking about doing is having like a hotbar down here of the towers that you can place. You would click on it, and then it would light up the areas that you could place that tower. So if you clicked on a spike tower like this, then it would highlight all the tiles that are right next to the road on both sides, of course. We won, but there's no display for that. That is in the next update. I was originally thinking about going mobile with this, but I've decided not to, at least not for now. Go back to the main menu. Really nothing here. So for those who are actually watching this, thanks for sticking around with the channel. I can't wait to get the next video out next week. I'll probably go every other week after that. This is kind of a special case because I'm trying to catch up, getting this devlog caught up to where I'm at. But this video should go out on Thursday, and the next one should be out the following Thursday. Again, thanks for watching. If you like this video and you like the idea of bringing more tower defenses back, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.